They called it outdated, a relic, a manila folder full of handwritten notes that belonged in a museum, not a modern finance department. The new VP stood in front of the entire operations team and said, "We're moving past this kind of manual dependency." He didn't say my name. He didn't have to. Everyone knew whose desk that folder lived on. Mine. My name is Eli, and for 11 years, that checklist kept this company compliant, solvent, and trusted. Then they replaced me with an algorithm. 72 hours later, their largest vendor hung up mid-call and froze every contract. And the board finally asked the question they should have started with. What exactly did that checklist do? If you've ever watched someone confuse noise for competence, hit that subscribe button. This is what happens when ego tries to delete experience. Let's begin. I started in finance operations back when vendor agreements were still faxed and compliance audits meant bankers' boxes stacked to the ceiling. I wasn't flashy. I didn't do TED Talks or post thought leadership on LinkedIn. I just made sure things worked. In 11 years, I'd been called efficient, reliable, methodical, never innovative. That's what happens when you're a woman who just makes things work quietly. My system was simple. A 3-ring binder with tabbed sections for every active vendor, every renewal clause, every attestation requirement, and every payment trigger that couldn't be automated. It wasn't elegant, it was effective. Over a decade, that binder evolved into something nobody else fully understood. A living map of institutional memory, payment schedules cross-referenced with compliance windows, vendor relationships tied to specific signatories, legal clauses that required manual verification because they predated digital systems. I didn't advertise it. I just maintained it. Every quarter, audits cost. Every vendor stayed happy. Every regulatory flag got cleared before it became a problem. The company grew. I stayed quiet. Then Damian arrived. He came from private equity, Ivy League MBA, consulted for firms that scaled operational efficiency through intelligent automation. Within 2 weeks, he was named VP of Finance Operations. Within 3, he was in my office. He didn't sit, just stood by the door with his arms crossed, looking at my desk like it offended him. "Eli, right?" I nodded. "Walk me through your workflow." I pulled out the binder, flipped to the vendor section, started explaining the attestation cycle for our largest partner, a clause in their contract that required a named individual to manually confirm payment eligibility every 90 days. "So you're telling me that a multi-million-dollar relationship depends on you writing a date on a piece of paper?" His tone had that edge, the kind that says, "This is why we need new blood." "It depends on someone who understands the clause doing it correctly. Yes." He smiled. Not kindly. "We're going to fix that." 2 weeks later, he unveiled his solution in an all-hands meeting, a proprietary AI-driven compliance dashboard, real-time tracking, automated alerts, vendor integration via API. "No more manual checklists," he said, clicking to the next slide. "No more single points of failure." His eyes flicked to me for half a second. The room clapped. I said nothing. After the meeting, I approached him privately. "Damian, before you migrate everything, we should cross-check the automation against the legacy clauses. Some of them have manual requirements baked into the contract language." He waved me off. "That's exactly the kind of dependency we're eliminating. If it can't be automated, it shouldn't exist." I tried once more. "Be careful what you delete before you understand what it does." He looked at me the way you look at someone still using a flip phone. "Noted," he said. Then he walked away. 3 days later, I was called into HR. They were very polite, very apologetic. The company was restructuring operations to align with modern frameworks. My role was being transitioned. They offered a severance package. I took it, signed the papers, handed over my access card, and when they asked for the binder, I gave it to them. Every page, every note. I didn't hide anything, didn't sabotage. I just left. What I didn't leave was understanding. You can hand someone a map, but if they can't read the symbols, it's just paper. The first crack appeared 6 days after I left. The company's largest vendor, responsible for 30% of operational throughput, sent a formal notice. Payment access suspended pending attestation verification per Section 7.4 of the Master Service Agreement. Damian's team pulled the contract, found the clause. It required a named individual, me, to physically sign and submit a quarterly compliance form confirming no conflicts of interest in the payment chain. The AI had flagged it as low-priority administrative task. It wasn't. Without that attestation, the vendor's legal team couldn't authorize continued service. And, per the contract, any lapse longer than 10 business days triggered an automatic freeze. Damian tried to substitute his own signature. The vendor's CEO personally called him. "Who are you?" "I'm the VP of Finance Operations." "Where is Eli?" "She's no longer with the company." Silence. Then, "You fired the checklist guy." The line went dead. That was Tuesday. By Thursday, 2 more vendors had flagged similar clauses. By Friday, the company's external auditors sent a preliminary notice of non-compliance for failure to maintain documented payment workflows. Damian's AI dashboard had categorized them as redundant manual entries and auto-archived them. The auditors pulled historical records. Every one of those redundant entries had been signed by me, personally, for years. The paper trail was perfect, until it stopped. Now there was a gap. A legal, audit-visible gap, and it had my name all over it. Or rather, the absence of my name. Monday morning, I got a call from the company's general counsel. "Eli, we need to talk." I let the silence sit. "We'd like to bring you back as a consultant to help us transition properly." "I already transitioned," I said. "You have the binder." "We need you to explain it." I paused. Then, very calmly, "I did, for 11 years. Another silence. "What would it take?" I thought about it. Not long. I already thought about it. Remote engagement only. Documentation contract, not employment. I digitize the system on my terms, and I don't report to Damian. Done. I didn't come back to gloat. I came back to fix what should never have broken. I built what I called Continuity Protocol V2. Every clause, every vendor relationship, every manual checkpoint that couldn't be automated without risking compliance. I didn't just digitize my checklist, I turned it into doctrine. Clear instructions, embedded escalation paths, system redundancies that didn't depend on one person but couldn't be ignored by anyone. It took 6 weeks. The vendors came back. The audits passed. The AI dashboard was quietly retired. Damian stopped attending operations meetings. Eventually, he was moved to a strategic advisory role. Code for, "We're keeping you until we can afford the optics of letting you go." I finished the contract, submitted the final protocol document, and at the very end, on the last page, I added one line. "Ensure policy outlasts ego." I didn't put my name on it. I didn't need to. 6 months later, a junior analyst found that document during onboarding. She asked her manager what it meant. He said, "That's the Eli protocol. It's how we stay compliant." She asked, "Who's Eli?" He smiled. "Exactly. I don't work there anymore. Not officially, but the system does. Every quarter, I get a quiet email from the compliance team. V2 holding steady. No flags. I don't reply. I don't need to. The work speaks. The protocol runs. And somewhere in a conference room I'll never sit in again, someone is following a checklist I wrote without knowing I wrote it. That's not revenge. That's legacy. The kind that doesn't need your name on it to prove it's yours. Turns out, wisdom doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to last longer than the noise. So here's my question for you. Have you ever watched someone destroy something they didn't understand and then beg for it back? Share your story in the comments. I read them all. If this one felt like quiet justice, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where experience outweighs ego and the checklist never lies. I'm Eli, and I'll see you in the next one.